I just got to tell the people to keep their arms in the vehicle at all times and strap in because it's going to be a blast.
Hey, call it a KFC special. We're chicken winging it. Like, God bless the new normal.
From Prince Albert to Pasco, Melfort to Meadow Lake. We're back with episode 35 of the Lang and LeBlanc Podcast, now a part of the Saskatchewan Podcast Network, and now a part of the YouTube world too. Here's Cooper. He's already made it in here. We're a weekly show chatting about Saskatchewan with Sasky guests for a Sasky crowd, and we fill you in on all things in the land of the living skies. I'm Brady Lang, just one half of the show, and they've already noticed this, so it's making it a little awkward. Like, we're having to do this intro is a lot different than other intros we've had in the past. A, there's a dog here. B, you're here. C, we're doing it together live, kind of.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here, like, while you do that intro. It's weird, because normally it's, like, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We're not in person, sitting next to each other, showing the people what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're not used to that. I mean, we used to do that for a while.
Yeah, well, how are we going to get Erin in this now, too? I wish she was here to read the disclaimer for us.
Oh, I know. We got to get her to do the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah, I guess we'll pause right now, because Cooper's here, and she'll read that, and yeah, we'll be right back.
The views and opinions expressed on the Lang and LeBlanc podcast are solely those of the hosts, producers, and guests of the program. They in no way, shape, or form reflect those of any affiliates the presenters or guests represent.
We would first like to acknowledge that this podcast is recorded, operated, and edited on Treaty 6 territory, on Treaty 4 territory, and on the homeland of the Métis. We pay our respect to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this place and reaffirm our relationship with one another. Cooper, you become the star of the podcast already. His butt is right on the microphone. He's moving it. This is going to be an interesting one. But Avery, this is episode 35. We finally made it to an episode where we could do it together. So how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I mean, this adds a whole other aspect to us just chatting it up, right? And we're hoping to do this a lot more in the future. I know that. The whole thing was that we started it during phase 3 of the pandemic, right?
Phase 3 of the pandemic?
Was it the third wave?
I don't know. I can't count the waves now in my head. They're one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, that was in the first wave, but you get deja vu every time.
We're not judging by seasons anymore. It's waves now.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, this would be I think this would be our last episode before we hit the 6-month mark as well. So that's also an interesting factor that we have here today. 6 months, we did it without being next to one another, but one promise that we always had during this podcast was that we'd figure out a way to do it not kind of by the book. Obviously, with podcasts, you can do whatever you really want.
Oh, exactly.
But at this point, like we had to sit there on the Zoom forever.
We were on the Zoom for a very long time.
When we first started this podcast, it was illegal to sit next to one another.
It was.
Like this, because we don't live in the same house. But we've gotten to the point where in month 6 of this podcast. So thank God that we actually got to this point. How awkward would that be if we always were on Zoom?
That would be really bad.
And the nice part about this, we are at my house. This is my home, but it's also just a few blocks away from where Avery and I first met, and that's in WABC. Oh, Cooper, you've decided to move the laptop as well. Well, now I guess we have a guest on the show this week.
This is our
Cooper's our guest for the pod this week. I guess we could talk about Cooper too. We don't really have an agenda this week. I'm not sure where it's going to go. Like we have
a list of topics.
We have a list of topics, but now that we've actually made it through, I didn't even go with the Avery. Even like, how's it going today, Avery? That's literally all we really need this for. We have some ideas on what we're gonna do. Cooper, get away from the tripod, buddy. Thanks a lot. But yeah, thank you guys for showing up for episode 35. Avery, how do you think the first 6 months have gone now that we've just kind of gone back and forth and off the script? We're right into this right now.
Yeah, exactly. I think that we've built this podcast to a very great structure. Like we've gotten into a good set of mind and what we want to provide to the people. And I think that we're growing as we move along.
Yeah.
Not super fast, but we continue to grab every so often a few listeners here and there, and we appreciate those who have stuck around for the ride consistently.
Yeah,
right?
Because we look at the statistics.
We do.
Just so you guys know.
We know if you guys are listening.
We know actually where you're from as well. Not sure, like we said, there's like Louisiana, we had like a following.
Somewhere south of the border.
I'm like, we did talk about curling, and curling is global, but when it comes down to it, we are a podcast that has a theme of Saskatchewan, but at the same time, we're a podcast that doesn't stick to one singular topic, right? We were talking before the podcast started today about how we've kind of gotten into that corner of bringing on a lot of sports people.
So many sports.
Well, guess what? Next week, we're bringing on another person that does sports. So, we do want to kind of even things out. We have some ideas with guests that we are hoping to bring on, and guests that have said yes, but not now as well. It's not all the sports world, but also we do want to have that connection with the sports world, because that's kind of where both of our careers start.
Exactly. And I think that this is moving along real nicely. It's hard to believe that we've come this far, the nearly 6 months. Like, when we first started, it was crazy because it was March, right?
Yeah.
It would have been March. So
beginning of March,
yeah.
we were all gunning up for that 1 year anniversary.
Yes, we were. We were already thinking about it, and I think it's already in our frame of mind, and I think we're looking beyond that 1 year anniversary already. Right?
We're at that point now, yeah, because we're only a couple months from what would it be, December? We're right around the corner from September, obviously.
Yeah,
it's next week. God, timelines are just messed in COVID.
Oh, it never helps. Like, you never know when anything happened, because like the last 2 years have meshed together.
Yeah,
because it's been the same crap going on
exactly.
entire period of time.
We're doing this all in one go too, so I totally forgot about what we were talking about. I think, Avery, this is your part where you fill me in on why I went off on a different tangent. But we're going back here. COVID, never knowing what month it is. Where were we then?
Sorry, I blanked.
I even got him. Maybe we should just change the topic.
Maybe we
if
should.
we keep forgetting. This is kind of a lot behind the scenes as well, because a lot of the time we'll kind of go on a tangent, or I'll go on a tangent, and I'll look at you and say, Avery, what was I saying beforehand?
Yeah.
It just happens. Staying on track is not... It's not exactly what a podcast, I think, was created for.
No.
And I think
so
that's
you can
something
take
that we
those
also
breaks
do.
and
exactly.
cut it up and make it sound great.
But yeah, I've really enjoyed these last 6 months, and I wouldn't have done it with anyone else. And
me too.
we've brought on some really cool guests too. And now that we're kind of, Cooper, you
again.
messed up the shot. We're just gonna have Cooper breaks.
Yes.
Now.
We're going to have to do a blooper reel of him moving the table.
Oh, of course. We
should
just
have a count.
blooper reeled Purdy.
Yes.
At the end of that episode, if you guys listen to it all the way through, or maybe just skip ahead, I have the bloopers of what we kind of had. And it wasn't even bloopers. It was just the point, or the portions where the animal showed up. But we've had a lot of really cool guests on here, and not just cool guests, but guests we wouldn't have had the opportunity to talk to if it weren't for the podcast too.
Exactly.
So who would be your person that you just absolutely love talking to, and you never would have thought that you would have been able to talk to them, but we're on the podcast now? What would that be? Very weird question.
So the person that I would have never expected to talk to, I think the sheepdogs have got to be on that.
That
list.
was an interesting one. The sheepdogs were a very interesting guest. We did not think we were going to get them. No way.
We had no idea whether they were going to hop on or not.
We were right off the ground too. So, with all due respect, I remember I was looked at by McGuire, and he said, "How many downloads are you guys getting an episode?" At that point, we weren't getting very many. So I told him that, and he looked at me and said, "We'll leave that out." So thanks, McGuire. Sorry I outed you like this, but at the same time, I think that's just a cool story.
It is a cool story.
But yeah, it was very interesting to me, and it was nice to talk to them, because you get to see the people behind, like, what you're listening to, what you're watching, what you're reading, everything like that. And they kind of recounted their story. A lot of people know their story, but there's a difference between hearing a story from you or I, or hearing a story from the person that it actually happened. Are you rolling?
Yeah.
I'm rolling too.
Sweet.
We're
ready
back.
to rumble.
We're back. The Lang and LeBlanc Podcast. It's been like 10, 15, 20 minutes, but at the same time, for you people watching, it was instantly.
It's been a matter of
magic.
seconds.
We apologize. That portion of the podcast, there's about 2 minutes that we're going to be missing. So, not sure what we're going to chuck there in between, but at the same time, we're not going to blame it on Cooper.
No, it was not Cooper.
No.
Nothing to do with Cooper.
No, exactly. He's been great, but he's actually just off to the side of us right now.
He's occupied. His butt will no longer be in the mic. His sniffer will no longer be on the mic.
Yeah, exactly. He's being scratched by our executive producer. Executive producer of sales. SOS. Get it? Significant other Sage. That was a good joke.
That was a good one.
Oh, it wasn't a good joke. All right, we're back with the Lang LeBlanc Podcast. Is this considered our get-together? Have I put Polka in here yet?
Maybe you have, maybe you haven't.
I don't know, yeah.
You could have thrown polka in that break that we had.
We should.
You could just do it on the video, just do a whole polka. Just throw it all in there.
Have you polka'd before?
Never.
No? I think
I've
I
never.
have.
The closest
I have,
thing
but I can't remember.
Closest thing to Ukrainian dancing I've done is Rasputin at weddings.
Okay.
It's not even Ukrainian, I don't think. I think that's
Probably
a Russian
not.
song.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry. This is this type of podcast, though.
Yes.
Well, it's nice that we are actually, like, you guys can see us, because now you know what we look like, even though we've had YouTube.
All we have, like, on our
Yeah.
social medias, is just our nose and up. So that's all you
Yeah.
really see of us. You may have seen us on previous YouTube videos, but besides that,
Yeah.
you only know, like, the first third of our faces.
And usually we're all on Zoom too, right?
Yes.
So now
We're right here in the flesh. We're all good.
crazy. Glad you guys are still here. this is a rough go, but yeah, Avery, what are we going to be talking about on this portion of the podcast?
Well, obviously, we got the CFL Pick'em and Fantasy, so if you got your phone handy, or I could probably just use it on my phone here.
You could.
I'll just throw it up.
All right.
I know that I won last week. You won the previous 2 weeks, so you're 2-1. I'm 1-2.
Yep.
We got to see if we can get more people in on this.
We
However.
should. We should figure it out.
Definitely. So yeah, last week on the league, in week 3.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh wait, I've already scored 2 points for this week. Okay, well then let's move on.
How did you
to
score 2 points?
12 points.
12 points this week.
12 points this week. I started someone, obviously.
Well, it looks like I'm going to have to start whoever's playing.
I started
the rest
Dane
of the week.
Evans. I started Dane Evans and Jake Weineke. So
nice.
they're doing pretty
I
good
haven't
so
set
far.
my lineups.
Not yet.
No. Let's
No.
see if you still beat me though.
I may. We'll see.
You're gonna have to be frugal. No Riders playing this week, so.
So view results. Oh come on.
1 sec.
I gotta find this.
You ever watch Waynesboro?
Okay.
No? You've never watched Waynesboro?
So here in the league, Brady scored 65 points last week
Not good enough.
with Vernon Adams 22.9. Pretty good. William Powell had a tough time against that Ottawa
He
defense.
didn't do well.
No, he didn't. I'm not sure who your other running back was. It says you did not pick a second running
I
back.
picked a Montreal player.
And he did
See,
nothing?
when it says there's no one there, that's because they didn't start.
Oh, okay. So it was
I
a
believe so.
second string back that didn't do much.
Yeah.
Then you started Kyran Moore, Braden Lenius, and Jordan Williams-Lambert in the same game. Unfortunately, Lambert got hurt in the early stages of that game. Then you started the Alouettes defense, which got you 6 points.
Not
Pretty darn
much.
good.
They didn't do well.
No, they didn't do well. They had a real penalty-littered game.
It's okay. We can't be 14-0,
No,
16-0,
we can't.
whatever it is.
We can't.
Like we said, the Riders can't be 14-0. They need adversity. So,
Exactly.
Yes, I need adversity too.
So you had 65 points last week. I had 79.5. And last week I started Vernon Adams, same quarterbacks.
Yes.
Kerry Kadeem, who had 2 touchdowns, 14 carries, and 62 yards. So
That'll do it.
the touchdowns got that. And everything else, Brady Oliveira, 4.6, so not much there. Lucky Whitehead really disappointed me against Edmonton. I thought he was going to light up that defense,
Yeah.
but did not. He only scored 7. Kenny Lawler got 11. Braden Lenius got 9.7, and then the BC Lions defense only got 2, because I thought Edmonton's defense was going to be garbage. Or offense would be garbage.
Yeah, didn't happen.
Did not happen.
But yeah, this week I have not set my lineup, so we will not talk about this week yet.
You'll have to start players from from all Saturday's game. And Sunday's game.
Exactly. For CFL Pick'em this week. I like how Avery just went, I gotta pull that up. It's probably on the next tab. So
last week we went 1-4, both of us. We both picked the Riders to win.
Yeah. Or actually, I went 2-4 then. Because I picked Winnipeg to lose.
You picked Winnipeg to lose.
They did.
You'd have had the heads up on that.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have switched this pick. So obviously that Edmonton and Toronto game did not go well.
We're going to do... we both came out ahead on that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
No losses.
That's a win. That's a win for both of us.
Yeah.
And then Hamilton's playing Montreal right now, 13-10 right now. They just scored, so she's a tight one. I had Hamilton initially, and then on the way back, I was listening to our friends at Piffle's podcast.
Friends of the pod.
They said Montreal should be the pick. So I took their word for it, but right now that's not going
Montreal
so well.
as well. This
Did you? Okay. Yeah, Dean Evans will make a difference on that offense for sure. This is the most points they've scored all season, so.
Well, that's a plus.
That is a big plus.
Yeah.
And then we also got BC taking on the Red Blacks. I think BC's got that one in hand. I don't think we got to question it. That Ottawa defense is really good.
Sneaky though, yeah. Like we saw, it wasn't too much of a trap game like we expected. Now that I keep thinking about it, I think it was more along the lines of that defense is really good.
Yeah.
So if that Ottawa offense can also kind of, pick up steam, they're fine. They're laughing, right?
Exactly. And I think it's just a matter of Matt Nichols making the right throws and finding the open guy, which is what they've been struggling with, finding open receivers. So
exactly.
I think they could definitely, and Duke Williams, former Edmonton receiver, was cut by the Bills this week. I could definitely see Ottawa going after him before anyone else.
But I don't know. It's going to be a weird year because then they have the quarantine, don't they?
Yeah, they would have to quarantine, so he would be out for... He wouldn't play until week 5 or 6.
Yeah, because the Riders picked up another O-lineman this week.
Yeah.
Can't remember his name off the top of my head. But if you do that on the bye week, at least you're saving them to be not fresh, but fresh COVID.
Yeah,
wise,
exactly.
After all those testings.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And then I went with Winnipeg this week against Calgary on Sunday.
I'll have to go back with Winnipeg on this one. I feel like I got lucky that last week.
Yeah.
So this one, for sure.
Plus, they got tape on the new quarterback in Calgary.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, they can definitely dissect that, and I think they'll pick him off like 3 or 4 times. Something along those lines.
Hey, it could happen. But do you want to do the Rough Rider Corner right now, too?
Sure. Let's get the Rough Rider Corner out of the way.
Yeah, we're still on that. We'll play some sort of stinger right now. No, it's on. And the Rough Rider Corner, where we speak about the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Because in Saskatchewan, the Rough Riders are king. Lately, though, the Riders have not been king in the hearts of many Saskatchewan people. No. It's crazy, and it's actually, it seems like kind of, I don't want to say a movement, but the more and more articles you see about it, and of course we're talking about mandatory vaccinations inside Mosaic Stadium, they're going to have to do it, aren't they?
I think they will have to, whether it's before Labor Day or after Labor Day. It should happen at some point. And I don't see the divide here. I haven't heard anyone on the other side of the argument saying we shouldn't be doing this. I mean, there may be a few people out there, but I haven't heard that. Yeah.
It always comes down to freedom, though.
Yes.
But at the same time, every other team in the CFL is doing it.
Yep.
Every other team. That's just it. Winnipeg did it before us. Aren't we supposed to be better than Winnipeg?
We are.
Sorry. Just had to say that.
However,
when it first happened, they were the first team. And that's exactly what I said in the newsroom, was that we're going to be beat by Winnipeg? Mm-hmm. Not on my watch.
You know, the thing is that it's those community-owned teams, right?
Saskatchewan
and
was
Edmonton.
Saskatchewan, well, there's BC as well. But
yeah, they jumped onto the ASAP.
Yeah,
as soon
Saskatchewan
as
is now the final one. The one thing that I do think it's going to happen, though, and I think it's going to happen because we've been given the breadcrumbs. In Saskatchewan, throughout this COVID pandemic, we've been given breadcrumbs a lot.
Yep.
So I know maybe to the untrained eye, I'm not trying to be arrogant, I'm coming off that way, but being inside the news, having to listen to it every day, you just see some of the little things that are happening and the pieces that are put in place, right? And I believe Mo was speaking yesterday about QR codes. He was speaking about ways that it could happen, and he said that he was in favor of doing this as well. So that's another big thing, another big aspect. If the Premier's on board, right?
Yeah.
So that's a big thing right now. And I'm not sure. There's so much finger pointing when it comes to this. And it's frustrating to watch, obviously, because it's not your problem, it's my problem. It's not my problem, it's your problem. But at the same time, we can't really do much. Like, there's a lot of instances in this COVID pandemic where it's that finger pointing, but to an extent, it's different. When it comes to, like, businesses mandating masks.
Yeah.
Like, that's not really finger pointing, but there's not that need. Well, there is. I wouldn't say there's not a need, but when it comes to those overarching public health orders, we're just not getting those anymore.
Exactly.
And a lot of people are saying the onus goes on the unvaccinated. The onus goes on the business owner. The onus goes on whoever. Someone make a decision. If the riders aren't going to do it, is the CFL going to do it? Hello, Cooper, you've made it.
Again.
Yes. Who's going to make this decision? Is it going to become federal? I just see all the signs pointing to vaccination passports. We made it through the first time,
yes.
Finally. Kind of finally, live, maybe. But this was a really good episode. Actually, I don't think it was the best episode we've done, but it felt the most natural because you're right beside me. It did.
You know, it felt like we were just chatting beside the fire. Except
beside
we were
the fire,
chatting
beside Cooper,
yeah.
beside Sage.
Cooper kept looking for attention 90% of the time. Well, not 90%.
We would have had a different backdrop also, but I didn't cut the grass.
The wall's good, I think. It's set.
Sturdy. Have a great week, guys.
See you later. I had Cooper's hair in my mouth that entire time.
I did that one.